In previous lecture, we discussed about monocot embryo development. Now, in today's lecture, we will discuss about seed, right? In NCERT, they have given some structures of seeds they have given. So, this is a bean seed and here is a castor seed. This is a maize seed and this is onion seed. They just gave the pictures. They did not tell us which seed is this, right? So, but then if you name the seed, then it will be easy for you to compare and remember it. So, I am telling this is bean seed, the next one is a castor seed and here is maize seed and this is onion seed. Okay. So, we will look at the structures of the seeds, then we will get into our class. Now, before going to seed, since our previous sessions are with dicot embryo development and monocot embryo development, so I have drawn those pictures also because in NEET examination, they are diagram based questions also. In diagram based questions, straight away they will pick the diagram from NCERT and they will ask you the labelings, children. So, they are checking your accuracy there. So, when you all of you are future doctors, so accuracy is very much required for a doctor. So, that is why in NCERT they will pick the same diagram and they will ask the labelings, or they might ask you what is this picture refers to. So, like that, let us see the pictures and then let's get into today's session of seed. Now, what is this? Come on, tell me. It is labeled as mature dicot embryo. Dicot embryo has two cotyledons and the two cotyledons will take curvatures, right? So, this is one cotyledon and this is the second cotyledon. A matured dicot embryo it is, right? And what is this? This is haustoria and these are suspensor cells. From here root will come and this is pumule. If they give you the picture and if they ask you what is this, so identify and tell that it is a mature dicot embryo. And here we have another picture. What is this? It is a typical dicot embryo. This is matured embryo, it seems, on dicot, and this is a typical dicot embryo. A typical dicot embryo, what are these two cotyledons? In between the cotyledons, this is pumule. No, here also in between the cotyledons, this is pumule. And this is the radicle covered by a root cap. This is the radicle covered by a root cap. Now, come on, tell me, what is the difference from this to this? This is mature dicot embryo and this is a typical dicot embryo. I think we understood about dicot embryo. Now, let's go on to the monocot embryo. This is a monocot embryo. They told it is longitudinal section. LS means longitudinal section. Longitudinal section of embryo of a grass. If you remember, when we are discussing monocot embryo, we have taken grass as a reference plant to study, which belongs to a family called Gramineae. So, they have given the longitudinal section of grass only to study the monocot embryo development. So, what is this, children? It is LS of embryo of grass. They will give you this picture and they will ask, it is transverse sectional, longitudinal sectional, circular view, it is longitudinal section, identify. And we know that monocot has only one cotyledon and it is laterally towards one side, it is hood shaped, it is called as scutellum. Yeah, here is scutellum. The second degenerated cotyledon, vestigial cotyledon, is opposite, it is called epiblast. And this is the embryo. The upper part is the shoot apex, the lower part is the root apex. Shoot apex is covered by coleoptile, root apex is covered by coleorhiza. I think we understood this picture also. So, 1, 2 and 3 pictures we understood. Now, let's go to seeds now, structure of some seeds. So, let's go with the bean seed. So, in bean seed, I draw two cotyledons, means bean is a dicot seed. It is having two cotyledons. Now, bean seeds, what is the shape of the seed? Tell me. Bean shaped, kidney shaped, and it has two coats. See the outer coat and inner coat. Children, the outer coat of bean is tough. It is thick. It is called testa. The inner coat of bean is papery and it is called tegma, right? This is testa, this is tegma, and inside it has a depression. In that depression, a white colored scar will be there, which is called hilum. And there itself, in that depression, there is micropyle also, through which the seed will take oxygen, the seed will take water. Now, in this depression, it is having the scar, it is having the micropyle also. And here, I tried to show the embryonic axis, radicle and the pumule. Now, when you open the cotyledons in the bean seed, we see this view. When you take the seed and when you look straight like this, then this is the view we get. In that, they are telling This side is the micropyle and this is the embryonic axis. This is the embryonic axis. You are looking the seed straight like this manner. So any doubts about bean? Bean is a dicot seed. The shape of the bean seed is, what is the shape? Kidney shaped, and it has hard seed coats. Dicot seeds are non-endospermic only, right? Dicot seeds are non-endospermic, and the beans belong to family Fabaceae. Now next, coming to another seed, castor seed. Now castor, do you recollect anything about castor? Is it monocota, dicota? It is a dicot seed. Castor is a dicot seed. But what is the speciality of castor when compared to the other dicot seeds? We tell that the dicot seeds are non-endospermic. The developing embryo will consume the complete nutrition. That's why the dicots are non-endospermic, whereas castor is exception. It is dicot but has endosperm. And see how much endosperm is there. All this is endosperm. So it is having too much amount of endosperm. Being dicot, it is endospermic, right? It has two cotyledons. So this is one cotyledon. Behind that will be the other cotyledon. And did you find the seed is long? It is mottled and it is oblong. It is a long structure. It is a mottled structure. And at one tip, it has a soft white structure, the bulged structure. This structure, children, is called caruncle. What is this structure called? This structure is called caruncle. In this caruncle only, micropyle and the hilum will be there. And what is this caruncle? Now, seed develops from ovule, no? Ripened ovule, no? Fertilized ovule, no? Ovule has outer integument and inner integument, no? So, this is an extension of the outer integument. In castor, the outer integument makes a spongy white structure. It outgrows and it's called, what is that called? Caruncle. Shall I write it? Caruncle. It is extension of the outer integument. It is the extension of the outer integument. So, this is endosperm, this is cotyledon, and two cotyledons are there, one in the front, other one in the back. It's a big oblong structure, it is a mottled structure, and this is the seed coat. This is the enlarged outer integument called caruncle, and inside we find venation. It is having venation. The cotyledons are showing venation, and this part is hypocotyl part, and then this part here they are showing it is the shoot apical meristem. Here they are telling it is shoot apical meristem, and this one they are telling this tip and this tip is a hypocotyl. Hypocotyl will make the root axis. This tip is making the root axis, whereas this tip will make the shoot axis. So this is about the castor seed. Hope you understood about the bean seed structure and the castor seed structure. This is dicot without endosperm, which is a general phenomenon. This is the dicot with endosperm, which is a rare phenomenon. Now, these two are monocot seeds. Onion seed and maize seed are monocot seeds. Now, let us see about onion first. Now, onion inflorescence, if you remember, it is umbel inflorescence. Like a spherical ball-like structure will be there, umbel inflorescence. The flower itself, the inflorescence itself, like such a tiny ball. Then the seeds, it will be small only. Small black seeds will be there. Okay. Now, in this seed, if you see, but they are rough. Okay. They might be small, but the seeds are very rough. So, this is a seed coat which is wrinkled and it is tough. It is rough. Okay. And monocots are endospermic, no? Albuminous, no? See how much endosperm it is having inside. It is, since monocot, it has endosperm. This is the endosperm. And then this is the one cotyledon. I labeled it here. It is one cotyledon. Monocots have only one hood-shaped cotyledon called scutellum. Yeah, and that is this cotyledon. In onion, the one which makes the pumule is like a notch. This is notch. The pumule is not prominent here. Can you make out a notch? Unless and until I tell you, you can't make out this notch. So, the pumule, epicotyl, they are inconspicuous. They are not clearly visible. Whereas, the hypocotyl, this much tip we can make out promptly. So the hypocotyl and radicle are very much prominent, whereas the pinnule and epicotyl, like a small notch, it will be there in this depression, it will be there, and the cotyledon is curved. The cotyledon is curved and the cotyledon is present in the endosperm. It's present in the endosperm. This is about onion seed. It has a seed coat, it is a colored seed, it is a rough seed, it is a small seed, right? It has wrinkled surfaces, it has coiled cotyledon, all that about onion seed. Now let's come to the second monocot seed, which is called as maize seed. Remember, when we are studying about monocot embryo development, we have taken grass as a reference and maize seed as a reference. So this is a maize seed. In the maize seed, since again it is a monocot, 2/3 proportion of the seed is endosperm only, bulky endosperm it is, and such a type of seed is called as caryopsis. What is caryopsis? It is a dry fruit or dry seed where the pericarp, the fruit wall, fuses with the testa seed coat. The fruit wall is fusing with the seed wall. It is called as caryopsis. And what is this layer? This layer is called aileron layer, which is enclosing the bulky endosperm, which is a nutritive tissue. And here is that hood-shaped cotyledon, which is called as scutellum. This is the embryonic axis, pinnule covered by coleoptile, radicle covered by coleorhiza. It is a maize seed. Hope you understood the structures of the seeds and the LS of the embryo of grass, and we need to make out what is the picture of a mature dicot embryo and what is the picture of a typical dicot embryo. Right, children? Take a screenshot, then we will continue with our today's topic called seed. Right, I think you took the screenshot. Now can I erase this? We'll get into our today's topic. What is that? Seed. Till I wipe the board, just think, what is seed? What are the advantages of seed? Now seed is a product of what? Process. Think once. Right. Now let's start with our today's topic, which is seed. Yeah. Angiospermic seed. We are looking into sexual reproduction of flowering plants. Flowering plants means they are angiosperms only. The angiospermic seed, I will tell, seed is the end product of sexual reproduction. Fruitama and seed are the end product of sexual reproduction. Note down this point. This sentence came in NEET 2020 examination. So what is that? Tell me. In angiosperms, we will write like in angiosperms. Seed. What is seed? It is the final product of sexual reproduction. Seed is the final product of which reproduction? Sexual reproduction. And from where does the seed is formed? Seed is nothing but a fertilized ovula, ripened ovula. So our next point is seed is fertilized ovule. Seed is fertilized ovule. And in angiosperms, the seeds are not naked. The seeds are enclosed by fruits, right? So that also we can write angiospermic seeds are enclosed in the fruits. Angiospermic seeds are enclosed in fruits. They are not naked, amma. They are enclosed in the fruits. Now the seed consists of how many parts or how many regions? 3 regions. The first one is a cotyledon. the second one is a seed coat, and the third one is an embryonic axis. So the seed consists of three regions, ma. It consists of three regions. Now, the first one is called as cotyledon. The second one, call it as seed coat. The third region, which is important region, is called embryonic axis. Is called as embryonic axis. Now let us talk about cotyledons. So cotyledons of the embryo, are they simple or very complex? They are very simple. Are they thin or thick? They are thick for dicots, they are thin for monocots. If they are thick, why are they thick? They are swelled up structures. Why are they swelled up structures? Because they are storing food materials. So the cotyledons of embryo, the cotyledons of embryo, they are simple, ma. They are thick. They are swollen. Why are they swollen? Because they are storing food reserves. When can we apply this point? For legume, which is a dicot seed. NCERT says this point is applicable for legume, which is a dicot seed. Now come to grass and think. In grass, what is grass? Monocot. In grass, the cotyledon is papery. It is one cotyledon. The cotyledon is thin and it is papery. Understood? So we finished the first portion of the seed. What is that? Cotyledon. Function of cotyledon to supply food for the developing embryo. Now come to the seed coat. Now we are telling that seed came from the ovule. We know that angiosperm's ovule has two integuments, outer integument and inner integument. Now these integuments only will harden and they'll become tough, protective seed coats. Now the seed coats, from where are they derived? The integuments. The integuments of the ovule. What do? They harden and they form protective seed coats. They form protective seed coat, right? Now this seed coat, why are we telling it is protective? It protects the young embryo which is inside. On the seed coat itself, there is a pore called micropyle. Now in the ovule also micropyle is there, where integuments are absent. In seed also micropyle is there. The micropyle, it remains like a pore on the seed coat. The micropyle of ovule, the micropyle of ovule will remain like a pore. Where is the pore present? On the seed coat. The micropyle region remains like a pore on the seed coat. What is the function of the pore on the seed? Come on, think. Seed is a living structure or dead structure? I'll tell it is living, because when you soak inside the soil, plant is coming. From dead one, nothing will come. Plant is coming means seed is living only. So if it is living, it need to respire, right? It need to take oxygen, right? Through the pore, it will take oxygen. And it takes water also when you drop it inside. So means through this micropore, it facilitates oxygen and water entry. So the pore facilitates oxygen and water entry, and it helps in seed germination and helps in seed germination. I finished the second portion of the seed also. The first portion is cotyledon. Here we wrote. The second portion is seed coat. We understood this also. The third portion, embryonic axis. We know that the embryonic axis. Now, one portion of the embryonic axis which is above the cotyledon is called epicotyle. And we also know that epicotyle develops into pinnule. We also know that pinnule will make the shoot system. Pinnule will make the Shoot system. The portion of the embryonic axis below the cotyledon is called as hypocotyle. Hypocotyle will make radicle, it develops into radicle. We also know that the radicle will make the root system. That's it, children. We finished the regions of the root. What are we talking about? Seed. What is seed? Seed is the end product of sexual reproduction. And I told this point appeared in the NEET 2020 examination. Check once the paper, you'll get this point. Okay. Now what is seed? Seed is a fertilized ovule. In angiosperms, the seeds are not naked, they're covered inside the fruit. Seed has 3 regions. These are the 3 regions. Take a screenshot. We will continue. Right? Now, a matured seed will have more water or less water. It's dry, right? So that means it will have less water. Then how much water? I will tell only 10 to 15% of its mass is by water. Right? So, we're talking about a matured seed. A matured seed has only 10 to 15% moisture. Why? Because it is dry. A matured seed has only 10 to 15% of moisture and it is dry. Now, this dried condition will slow down the metabolism and it will make the seed to undergo a state of dormancy, inactivity. So, this less moisture content will slow down the metabolism. It slows down the metabolism. It slows down the metabolism and the seed will enter a state of inactivity called dormancy. The seed enters a state of inactivity. What is that state of inactivity called? Dormancy. It is going to a state of inactivity called dormancy. So, when the seed will undergo dormancy? When the conditions are not favorable, means unfavorable. So, it will be in its dormant stage till the conditions are favorable. When once the required temperature, required moisture, required energy, everything is there, then it completes its dormancy and then it starts germinating. Understood? So, this is all information about the seeds. We already know through the previous pictures that dicot seeds are non-endospermic, monocot seeds are endospermic. And endospermic means endosperm. What is endosperm? A nutritive tissue. When endosperm overgrows, nucellus will not be there. It will be crushed off. But there are some seeds like black pepper and all, remnants of nucellus will be there with the seed. Then what is that called? Perispermic seed. Got that point? We discussed in the previous lectures. Now let's talk about the advantages of the seed, the importance of the seed, right? Advantages of the seed. Now let's go point by point. So we can tell that plants are more dependable on the seeds. Dependency. In bryophytes and pteridophytes, water is the medium for transfer of the gametes. But gymnosperms, angiosperms are terrestrial plants. Since they are terrestrial plants, for pollination and for fertilization, right? Pollination and fertilization, they are water independent. Since they are water independent, they are not depending on water, then who are they depending? On seed they are depending. So, we can tell that in angiosperms. In angiosperms, unlike bryophytes and pteridophytes, pteridophytes are independent. Angiosperms are independent of water. Angiosperms, they don't require water. Since they don't require water, they are dependent on seeds. So, they are dependent. On what are they dependent? They are dependent on the seeds. So, that is the first point about dependency. The second one is called perennation. What is perennation? Tide over unfavorable conditions. See, now conditions are not favorable, we are locked inside the home. If at all we are going out, so we are taking precautions, carrying a sanitizer, wearing mask, maintaining distance, we are traveling, right? In the same manner, here also perennation. Perennation means to tide over unfavorable conditions. We discussed that the seed undergoes a period of dormancy. So, that's called perennation. So, what can we write under perennation? We can tell that seed is dry. The seed is dry with a dormant embryo. Seed is dry with dormant embryo. The embryo is dormant. Why is the embryo dormant? Because the conditions are unfavorable. Due to unfavorable conditions. Due to unfavorable conditions, it has undergone a period called perennation. Now, the seed has thick seed coat also, right? The thick seed coat also, protects the young embryo inside from the harmful conditions outside. The thick seed coat also protects the young embryo inside. And when the favorable conditions return, then the seed will come out and it will undergo germination. This is perennation, the second point. The third point we can tell dispersal. Dispersal. Seeds have better adaptive dispersal strategies. Have you eaten drumstick? In the drumstick, did you see the seed? Have you seen the wings on the seed? Some seeds will have wings, some seeds will have parachute mechanism, pinus seeds also will have wings, drumstick seed also will have wings, marigold seed will have pappus mechanism to fly. Means seeds, if they fall down on the same place, then competition will be there, they cannot come up in such a compact manner. If they spread to new places, they can establish themselves in new habitats. So this we call it as a dispersal. Seeds have better adaptive strategies for dispersal. Seeds have better adaptive strategies for seed dispersal, and they can easily spread to new habitats, right? If the plant is giving or the tree is giving 200 seeds and the 200 seeds fall down on the same place, so in that area they can't grow because of competition. If they go to new places, it can establish there nicely. So seeds have better strategies to disperse themselves. Now, seed stores food material also, right? Seed has reserve food. Some seeds will store starch, some seeds will store oil, some seeds will store protein. So seeds, they nourish the embryo. Seeds nourish the embryo, the young embryo. Now some seeds will store starch, some seeds will store protein, some seeds will store oil or fat. Till the embryo gets its food by itself, till then it will be dependent on the seed for the food. Then next one, we can talk about variations. So somewhere on the starting we wrote that seed is a final product of sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction means, children, meiosis. Meiosis means chiasmata, crossing over, recombinations. So we tell that because it's a product of sexual reproduction, it shows recombinations and variations. So if anything which is having variations, so they can adapt better to the changing environments. Variations. Since seeds are products of sexual reproduction. Since seeds are products of sexual reproduction, seeds show variations. They show variations, amma. They show recombinations. Variations and recombinations will allow them to adapt better. Variations and recombinations will allow them to survive better. It will allow them to survive better. They can adapt better. So, what did we discuss? We were discussing about the advantages of the seed. First point we are telling, since they are terrestrial plants, since water is not the medium, they are depending on the seed. That is dependency. Second one, to tide over unfavorable conditions. Now, seeds can help in perennation. So, since they have tough seed coat, they are dry, they can protect the dormant embryo. They can make the embryo to remain dormant till the favorable conditions come back. Seed dispersal. Some seeds have wings, some seeds have parachute mechanisms, so they can better establish to new habitats. Seeds, they have reserve food materials and they nourish the young embryo. Some store starch, some store protein, some store fat. Now, seeds are the product of sexual reproduction, so they have recombinations, they have variations. The ones which are having recombinations and variations can survive better in changed environmental conditions. Take a screenshot, we will continue. Yes. Sixth point we need to talk now then. Any comments you can post in the comment box. So, I need to understand whether you are able to follow the classes, right, or not. This is one-step destination for your NEET. Every point we are covering from NCERT and little bit outside the NCERT. So, I think we need to write the fifth point here, seed storage. Cold storages, the farmers will go and store their seeds. So, seeds, they help to supply food throughout the year and they will prevent drought and famine conditions also, right? So, since you can store them and you can supply, so you can prevent drought and famine. We can tell that seed storage. So, they help to supply food throughout the year. And they can prevent drought also and famine. Since you can store them, so we can prevent drought and famine, we can tell. Next, we can talk about agriculture. So, I think the basis of agriculture is the seed. You cannot imagine agriculture without a seed. Seed is basis for agriculture, right? What are we telling? Seed is basis for agriculture. Seed is basis for agriculture. When you sow the seed, then only we get a plant. Now, agriculture is a turning point in human civilization. So, we can tell that agriculture is the turning point in human civilization. It is a turning point in human civilization, industrialization, science and technology also. Industrialization also, agriculture helped, right? And agriculture helped in science and technology also. So, children, all this is about the applications of seeds. What did we discuss? So, seed is very much required for agriculture. Seed helps in storage. Seeds helps in variations and seeds act as reserve foods. They help in dispersal. They help in perennation and dependency. Viability of seed. Now, what is viability of seed? the seed retaining the power to germinate over a period of time is called viability, means livingness, right? So, what is viability? A seed retaining the power to germinate. It can, if it is viable, if it is living, it can germinate. Retaining the power to germinate over a period of time is called viability. What is it called? Is called viability of the seed. Right? Now, how long are the seeds viable? Means in few species of plants, if you take, the viability of the seed is for just few months. But in majority of the cases, several species, the viability is for several years. We can write down that only in few species the seeds are viable for few months. The seeds are viable for few months. It is less, but in most of the plants we see, in most of the plant species, seeds are viable for years together. Seeds are viable for several years, we can tell. They are viable for several years. Now, viability, how will you check the seed is viable or not? You can see whether the seed is respiring or not. We can see whether the seed is respiring or not, or we can see whether the seed is able to germinate or not. How do you check viability? How do we check viability? We can check whether the seed is germinating or not. Whether the seed is germinating or not, we can check. Or we can soak the seeds in the water. If the seed is viable, if it is living, it will respire and it releases the oxygen bubbles. We can see whether the seed is respiring or not. Whether the seed is respiring or not. And you have some chemical methods as well. You have some chemical methods as well where the seeds will convert the color. When you add a chemical, it gets converted. So, that is also checked for viability. Okay. So, what is viability? It is a power of a seed to retain the power of germination. Only few plants have less viability. It is only for months. Whereas, majority of the plants will have viability for several years. The oldest one is lupine. The oldest one, what is that plant? Lupine. Lupinus arcticus. It is Lupinus arcticus. So, the oldest one is lupine, Lupinus arcticus. Where did they excavate it? They excavated from Arctic tundra. Excavated from Arctic tundra. You know how many years of dormancy it completed and it germinated? This was excavated from Arctic tundra. It germinated after 10,000 years of estimated dormancy. It has germinated after how many years? 10,000 years of dormancy. Children, this question has been asked in the NEET examination. This is a NEET previous question paper. What is that? What is the oldest seed? The oldest seed is lupine. From which plant? From Lupinus arcticus. From where did they excavate the seed? They excavated the seed from Arctic tundra. It has germinated after completing how many years of dormancy? 10,000 years of dormancy. The recent record is another seed is there which has germinated after 2,000 years old. And it is date palm. What is that tree? Date palm. Its scientific name is Phoenix dactylifera. Phoenix dactylifera. They excavated Phoenix dactylifera from where? Near the Dead Sea. In a palace near Dead Sea in a palace called King Herod's Palace. They excavated this Phoenix dactylifera seed from near the Dead Sea, which has germinated after completing 2000 years of dormancy, right? Means the viability is so long. Some plants will have 2000 years, some plants will have 10,000 years. That's why they told most of the plant species, they are viable for several years. Here are the examples. Only few plants are viable for few months only. Now, can you give some examples? A fruit which has only one seed, and can you give the other examples also where the fruits have many seeds? Post me in the comment box. In the next class, we will discuss about fruits. Hope you enjoyed the lecture. If you like the content, like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.